For as long as automobiles have existed, there have been men driven to race them. The pinnacle of auto racing in the United States today is represented by IndyCar and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. These series boast enormous fan bases, network TV coverage, and corporate sponsors clamoring for attention. On the worldwide stage, the high-tech, high-finance Formula One World Championship represents the absolute best of the best and is every driver's dream. Youngsters begin their training at a very early age and dream of one day rising to the top and becoming a Grand Prix world champion, a star of NASCAR, or perhaps even both. Between these two extremes lies a lesser-known segment of the automobile racing community. It is here that amateur racing enthusiasts compete, not for world championships or big paydays, but rather for self-satisfaction and the respect of their fellow competitors. While their budgets and resources may pale in comparison to those of professional organizations, their enthusiasm, dedication, and passion for their sport is no less than that of their heroes. One of several organizations that promotes amateur racing in the United States is VARA, the Vintage Auto Racing Association. VARA organizes weekend events at venues such as the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, a state-of-the-art facility that caters to both professional and amateur racers alike. The racetrack itself was built on the site of the first steel mill located west of the Rocky Mountains. Today's weekend warriors compete in the shadows of the factory that at one time produced steel to build the Liberty ships used by the Allies to achieve victory in World War II. A stroll through the paddock will reveal a study in contrasts between older race cars and newer machines. There will be veteran racers who have been attending events such as these for decades. You'll see old friends who have pooled their time and resources to race cars they've maintained for most of their lives. There will be historically significant race cars, as well as machines that have carried famous drivers to epic victories. There will indeed be on display a rolling museum of racing automobiles of every conceivable variety. In addition to the race cars, the cast of characters and variety of equipment that comprise a racing weekend like this one simply must be seen to be believed. The trailers that transport cars and crew to the races can range from the extravagant to the merely functional. Pit carts that move supplies around the paddock can be custom-made and self-propelled, or somewhat simpler, but just as effective. Some of the racing enthusiasts even dress for the event, fashion, of course, being a relative term. When it comes to women at the racetrack, you may see the very young, as well as the young at heart. The vendors that support these races provide critical equipment, such as tires and safety equipment, without which the races could not proceed. Others provide even more essential supplies. If one were to try and describe the average amateur competitor, he might resemble this racer, a lifelong enthusiast whose crew is comprised of friends who generously volunteer their time, and of family who offer unwavering support for their loved ones. This racer's transporter is neither the largest or the smallest. His car is not the most powerful or expensive, but is meticulously prepared and self-maintained. Like many of his fellow racers, he is pursuing his passion and indeed living his dream. Perhaps the only thing that can keep these drivers off the track is Mother Nature. But racers are a resourceful bunch, and when the rain falls, men and women who are competitors while on the track become fast friends off of it. Eventually, the sky is clear, the track dries, and it's time to get ready to race. Some drivers slip into their cockpits like a hand into a glove. Others can't remember which way is up, while this poor fellow seems to have forgotten where he left his race car. When all of the competitors are securely strapped into their cars, it's time to get down to business and the mood turns serious. Amateurs or not, these cars are capable of incredible speeds, and driving them at the limits of their capabilities requires a level of focus and concentration most of us seldom experience. As the drivers take to the track and warm up their machines in preparation for the start of the race, tension runs high, both in the cockpit as well as on the pit wall. With dozens of high-octane racing machines in such close proximity to each other, there's plenty of nervous energy leading up to the green flag being waved. The sound of high-performance engines, the eye-watering smell of burning race fuel, and the raw speed and exhilaration of competition are all intoxicating to these competitors. The adrenaline rush and heightened sense of awareness that these stimuli provide are more than enough to justify in these racers' minds the hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars spent preparing for this precious time on track. Once the checkered flag is flown and the adrenaline begins to recede, the thrill of competition is tempered by the inevitable acknowledgement that weeks or perhaps even months may pass before the next opportunity arises to roll out onto another racetrack at another event and once again satisfy the racer's need for speed. As race cars are secured safe and sound in the sanctuary of their transporters, drivers and owners breathe a sigh of relief that their precious cargo has once again survived the rigors of on-track competition. Drivers and crew depart the track one or two at a time with little fanfare, but no doubt most are already planning for their next race weekend, because as true today as it was at the dawn of the automotive age, as long as there are cars, there will always be men and women driven to race them.